you didn't get the first message, I started to share it on Farmers Voice Hawaii, and there's a Facebook page called Resource Recovery Maui 2019. It has the link to the feed. I shared it to all the organizations I think are relative. I'm sure there'll be more. Just wanted to let you guys know. And for Shay, Donna, and Mahina, and Georgia, who stepped out of the room, I just wanted to tell you a little epiphany I had last night when I was doing the name tags. Later we're going to break out, and each name tag has a little icon of a flora, fauna. And so when I was doing the kalo one, I was like, yeah, no more the roots, yeah? Like, should I do a different graphic? But what I had realized in thinking about that was that you guys, to me, are like those roots. And I said this to the group before you guys got here. You know, you guys are doing work that's like sort of the work that's done under the soil that nobody sees all the time. And I appreciate you in that way, and how that microbial action, you know, in the top layers of the soil are the most active and beneficial and hardworking ones. That's how I feel like you guys are. And so my analogy of you guys are that you're my community microbials. And so I just wanted to tell you that because it was sweet. And so, but your icon still doesn't have the root, but it doesn't matter because you guys know that you're here. So that being said, so my next speaker is Mahina Martin, and she's today speaking on behalf of Maui Electric Company. It's very complex when requests for proposals, RFPs go out for renewables, clean energy. We have all these deadlines that are being set on local level, national level, and she's going to speak to that. And I think that even though she does so many things in the community that I can't possibly encapsulate in this moment, she is speaking specifically to that. And I think it's really a good background, and it might save some boring reading time because she's going to hit those points that I think are relative to about half of the presenters that we have today. Maybe more, but I'm really happy that she could find the time on her Saturday to come and join us. This is Mahina Martin.
Well, aloha. Aloha. I'm going to tweak a little bit about what she said because I'm here, Big and I, don't you love her enthusiasm? Yeah. So hard to say no. Sorry for being late today, but I didn't want to say no to other things too. But I wanted, my story today is going to bend more on how we're entering pretty much an epic time in history. You hear it in many public issues, you can hear it in a lot of things, and you definitely see it in the world of energy. And there are far more experts in energy than I am on many fronts, and today alone you have many in your room, or folks here in the room. I think for me was what I really want to convey, even in this time of moving into RFP, and I'm actually focused more on the process, is about community engagement. Because the theme today is how do you take conversation to direct action. So I really would like everyone in our community and anyone else involved in it to understand that moving it from conversation, any idea, any issue, any topic, any, sometimes we think that our ideas are the best thing since sliced bread, and then we're really mad that nobody else agrees, and we're just like puzzled. Why not? I spent like 1,000 hours on this. This is like the best thing ever. So sometimes we can't figure out how to take that conversation, or because we were in a room with 100 of like-minded, enthusiastic, excited people, and then nothing happens. Or you can't get everyone to rev up like you. So that's always a gap, right? So I'm going to address that a little bit because I think doing business in Hawaii is very different. I think that moving something from point A to point B is not as simple as a lot of people assume. And you hear that a lot nowadays, community engagement. I've been in this for over 30 years now, quite some time, and I've seen some massive failures of my own included, and I've seen some take off like I've never seen. Faith alluded a little bit to the things I've done beyond the utility, and I'm very proud of those things, being involved in repealing a state law that looked to sell public land. If y'all remember the Public Land Development Corp? That was, many of us worked on that, right? And that was a big one because Neighbor Islands were going to have the most public land sold. And I tell you this story because I come from both sides of community engagement, being in the room and knowing that the process was not going to help me, and being in the room knowing that I could affect the process, which is partly the having word today. But when we repealed that state law, we shut down the Public Land Development Corp and really helped ourselves. And look at Sam because he was a big part of that too, along with many in the community. We, as a community, we overturned the county law on 24-hour liquor sales. That was also sudden and big, and I was very unhappy about that because the process wasn't there. So today I'm sometimes called the liquor lady. I don't know why. I'm not like, that wasn't my, I didn't wake up one morning and say, oh, I don't like the liquor department. That wasn't the thing. I just wanted to know how come they didn't tell anybody. That was simple. Public Land Development Corp, which took a lot of time, a lot in a short burst, because it was just that legislative session, was simply, I'm not a conservationist by nature. I don't have a long background in that. But simply, I went to a public meeting because somebody said I should. So I went to learn. And I was appalled that because it was part of the process, we couldn't ask questions. Literally, like we couldn't. They said, sorry, it's a hearing. We can't answer any questions. And we were like, what? The whole cafeteria is full. So I stayed on that issue and dogged it along the way, and that's how we got to where we are. We've done some incredible things on Maui. We packed recently, I guess in recent history, some of you may remember, we packed 3 20-foot containers and sent aid to Kona, Kauai for the flooding, to Puna for their lava event. And why did we do that? I don't work for the Red Cross. I'm not by nature, related to everybody in Hawaii and Puna. But there was a need, and the Maui community wanted to help. So let's just connect that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit in the world of utility. How does that look for Hawaii and how does it look for Maui? So today, I just want to share a little bit about a perspective on people as a resource. Because when we're talking about resource recovery, we're talking a lot about opportunities, technology, innovation, ideas, and how do we move that. But part of that involves people as a resource. And if you look at our Maui community today, we're a little tired. There are a lot of challenges, a lot of opportunities, right? So sometimes it's important to understand what will motivate people and what will it take to engage them. And is there a difference between genuine engagement or just engagement? Can you really seriously PR your way out of a situation if you've got an idea? Or can you PR your way, use public relations to move the needle on an idea or project? How do you actually get direct action if people are in your way? Right? That's always going to be a challenge as well. And what does it look like? And why is it that so few companies actually do it? Because quite frankly, it's a lot of work and it's hard. If you've ever been involved on a large-scale project as a volunteer, as a community organizer, or just a concerned citizen or community member, it's exhausting. Just one petition will just drive you to no end. You put so much energy in it, and you're really your feelings are hurt because only 10 people signed it. And then so you think, okay, how do I get 10 more? So I'll show up. How do I get 10 more? I'll talk to more people. I'll go to the council. I'll start getting on akaku. Before you know it, it's a full-time job. It is, and it is on both sides of it, whether you're a community engagement person by profession or whether you're an engaged community member, just as a citizen. A little bit about Maui Electric. We're approaching 100 years. Wow, we're old. We've been doing this for a while, a century old, nearly. So we'll be celebrating our 100 in a couple of years. Few people know that we have ali'i roots, that in his innovative way, Kalakaua, our ali'i at the time, heard about a guy named Edison. They said, what? Who's that? Oh my God, what lights up? So he actually traveled to the mainland and met with Edison and learned a little bit more about it. In 1886, Iolani Palace was the first royal residency in the entire world to have electricity. So Hawaii really led the way in that sense. And actually, in 1881, the light bulb came to Maui first. So we like to say Maui no ko'oi, and I can even say it on this one, because at that time, if you've ever been to Spreckelsville on the way to North Shore, that's what it used to look like. That was a mill back then. And there are historical, archival records of ali'i getting on the train and really wanted to see this, what is this thing that lights up at night? And they traveled to Spreckelsville. And in 1921, we had our offices were actually in Wailuku. So for Maui folks, we know that today we're a little larger than that. Governor Ige, it's no secret, of course, particularly to this audience here. Governor Ige has put us on a path to renewable energy for Hawaii. It's the most ambitious in the nation. It's something that Hawaii can be proud of. It's definitely a change in course for the utility, ourselves as well as a cooperative on Hawaii. So my company is on Oahu, Maui, Molokai, Lanai, and Hawaii Island. Hawaii is a cooperative, but we are committed, as the rest of the state is, to move ourselves closer to a renewable energy future, and that is by 2045. Our company has a responsibility to make sure that not only that renewable energy is being planned for, but that we address everything from climate change to reliability. We must make sure that the lights stay on, and planning in a utility sense is challenging because it takes so long to plan. It's not something we can course correct quickly and easily. At the same time, there's this interesting, I don't know how to call it, I don't want to say shift, but there's so much opportunities and new technology. So do we invest high there, but it's untested? So will it for sure be reliable? So all of that are kind of moving things that we're learning from the nation. One of the things that makes Hawaii challenging is we are, as a regulated utility, regulated by a 3-member Utilities Commission. So it's actually not a company saying yes, no. We have a proposal, we go to the Utility Commission. This 3-member Utility Commission is appointed by Governor Ige, and they review our proposal. They have their own principles and their own driving factors. Is it going to help the consumer or not? Is it going to move renewable or not? Is it good planning that ensures reliability or not? So we're generally stuck in that little arena of that. But for us, in order to reach a decision-making option, we have to make sure that we're looking at the community. This is from Maui Electric, that we can combine all of this, that there's some technical expertise, that there are an understanding and appreciation and review for environmental impacts, mindful that the regulatory process is important, and there is solid research and evidence. And the regulatory process can be a little concerning sometimes because we'll listen, we'll want to weigh in the community needs, and we think that's a high value, but depending on who's sitting on the commission at that point, I think maybe a few years ago recently, we had, I want to say we had 3 attorneys on it. So none of them with utility background. So it was a little different take on the review process. Then now we have 2 very experienced academics. So heavy on research, but no utility background or some utility background. So it's hard. In our 100 years, we've been trying to kind of go with the ebb and flow. One thing that I like to insert on there, because you hear a lot talk about reliability, feasibility, sustainability. Is there capability? What about acceptability? Where is acceptability in the communities we serve for any business, and more so for us? Because we touch so many parts of everyone's lives. On Maui, when power goes out in like 5 minutes, it's Armageddon, right? If you're on social media, everybody's telling you what elevator and what town and my neighbor across the street is nice and they don't, and it's like Armageddon. I can almost see the uptick. It's like, okay, so Maui 24/7. Okay, Maui Watch. Oh no, here it goes, Maui Prime, and then it hits the traditional media. But by then, the world is falling apart. And then I get tagged, text, and I say, hang on, our little poll. Just give us time to reroute the power, and then the power comes back on, and hopefully in like a few minutes or 10 minutes, and then you see this whole chaos go like, oh, okay, yay, thank you, Maui Electric, good job. Oh no, power's out, Armageddon again. So when, conditions change for us on how much we rely on power, it's a very interesting world today. So it's quite a ride. So let's talk about community engagement, because some people say, it's a task. It's like, we gotta do it. It's like a checklist, right? If you've done it a long time, you can see the checklist marks. All right, put out a public notice, and it turns into the little, that little classified ad, in the paper. But who reads the paper, right? it's not, our population is not our go-to. So sometimes we have to think of it as an expedition, as not less as a little ride, because are we actually using the correct vehicle? Are you prepared? Are you going to run out of fuel? Or, we've come a long way. And if we continue to think of how we're going to connect with the communities, the consumers that we serve, it's not going to work with a horse and buggy way. So this is a Batmobile. I don't know if you folks have ever seen a Batmobile move. It's talk about innovative, fast. It's hidden in a cave. You don't even know it's there. It just kind of pops out. Right, this mysterious guy comes out, and you're thinking, who does that? So I like to think of, how we do community engagement is, who does that? Because we try to do it very differently. In Hawaii, hakule, whoever made a hakule? Oh, terrific. Okay. Haku, to weave, to tie together, right? So a hakule for Hawaii, if you think about it, this is my philosophy of community engagement. And I love to share this story because for Hawaii, our grids are not tied. There's no island cable. There's no way to connect as the different states do on the continent. It's just us on an island, and it's like that for everything we do, right? Whether we're self-reliant or relying on imported goods. But when you look at hakule and you think of Hawaii, no tule ever in eternity will ever be the same. If you want to make it, you have to make sure your backbone is correct. Because without that backbone, the flowers, the ferns, they don't hold. The key to this, though, is that you're actually using different types of flowers each time you make it. And you make a hakule with the person you're going to give it to in mind. And that's the uniqueness of it. And so when we talk about community engagement in Hawaii, it's very clear to me that this, if you approach it from this angle, you stand a better chance. So when you're trying to take something from conversation to actual action and success, and filling in the middle, using hopefully not the horse and buggy, but the Batmobile, the hakule is that approach is going to take you there in a smoother, no guarantee, this is our community, it changes all the time, but it definitely gives you a smoother road. And our relationship to Hawaii, I really like to talk about this because when we do business, when we have an idea and we want to execute, it's important to know that our relationships matter. They really do. So this is our staff coming up, we're having a planning session, and this is the end result when we're actually in the community and talking about our plans, our technical delivery of things, and our process for it. And the reason why this is important to consider is because in Hawaii, we're very circular. We're not at all linear. We're, as a culture, as a community, as a state, as our history tells us, we're reliant and dependent on each other. So unlike a transaction, like I'm going to sell you your electricity, or you're going to sell me this great idea, or a waste energy project, or something. It's never A to B in Hawaii, because that means that I'm going to sell you something and I'm never going to see you again. Done. Or in other states, if you're connected that way, you get on a freeway, and maybe you're looking for employees and they get on the off-ramp and you get an influx of opportunity. We don't have that here. We're just stuck with each other, good or bad. So it's very, very circular. Whether I'm going to do business with you today, give you a good idea today, I'm more than likely going to see you in a supermarket. Our kids are going to go to school together. We're going to be on the same side of an issue, opposing side of an issue. It's a circular community, and that is our culture. It's the same way for Ahupua'a. It's the same way for our native traditional practices. All of that is reliant on each other. We've tried a lot of different things at Maui Electric. Some have done wonderful, and some are just lessons learned, and some work great. Here, we've tried our best to have the conversations with folks, and the typical way is to send out an email, or call somebody, or hope they read about it in the paper, or something. Sometimes that's not enough. So we're going to talk about going beyond what's enough. So this is some of the examples. You may know Chip Fletcher on the far end. We love Chip. He's been on Maui a lot, talks a lot about climate change. Wonderful researcher, great speaker. we invited all these folks to join us for a discussion about climate change and resiliency. And the reason is because we need to make sure our infrastructure is resilient. We need to begin planning that way too. And we have started planning. But we must have that conversation together with other experts in the room too. So we want to be transparent and share with everybody, so we have this discussion. And we do tours at our Maui power plant. It's not something everyone sees, and if you ever want to see one, just email me. We don't open it up to the public, but we try to group folks together. So, if there is an interest, definitely. So we share information even internally. This is a Ka'ipupukui Fellows Program. We started talking about reaching 100% renewable energy for Hawaii and for Maui in particular. So we hosted it together with Maui Tomorrow and Sierra Club, brought out a big turnout. We were actually really surprised, which told us, oh good, we're not alone in this discussion about how do we move Maui to 100% renewable. And we continued the discussion recently. This is our 100% forum. I'll tell you what's fascinating about this. It was easy. People said, hey, you guys have to tell us, what's your plans? We said, oh, it's a little more complicated than telling what our plans are. But let's talk about what I think is going to be the important part that's going to hit Maui, the landscape. Agricultural discussions, land use discussions are big issues of Maui. The use of resources are big issues of Maui. Just today alone tells you that. So instead of us coming up and describing our plans, we wanted to hear what others had to say. So we brought in, that's our president, by the way, not at the microphone. But that's our system operations director, Paula, who brought a cultural lens to it, to the discussion. Rob in the middle from Sierra Club, Albert frowning at the camera, director of Maui Tomorrow. He's actually not here, so don't use that picture. Oh well. Don't tell him. She is the head of Kamehameha's land asset management, and Alex is our energy commissioner for the county of Maui. I was really surprised by the turnout. I was standing room only. We had a great dialogue discussion. It wasn't full enough. I wish we had more time, but it is what it is. Then we took about 45 minutes of a Q&A session. And I even will publicly acknowledge that Mr. Dunton here had some questions that wasn't asked, and we just couldn't reach everything at some point. But that was another opportunity. Oh, this is what the room was packed. We're really surprised by it. Next one. We've gone to Lanai. We've talked to Lanai folks. We've talked to the seniors on Lanai. We've talked to the students. We've gone on practically every island we could. And then we went to Molokai. And somebody in our company said, can we get Molokai to 100 before 2045? We said, we don't know. We can take a look at it. Have you done business on Molokai lately? Folks on Oahu who were telling us that. So, but we said, let's try. Let's try. But I'm really clear, in no community, Molokai or otherwise, should you ever go in and parachute in and say, I have got the best idea ever since sliced bread. Right? Yeah, exactly right. Especially on Molokai. So we embarked on something different. Now, if you've never been, who has not been to Molokai? Okay, great. I hope you get to go one day. Because then you'll be like, oh, okay, that's what she talked about. It's a very small island, right? 7,000 population, pretty set. Doesn't change much over the years. Very flat and long versus Lanai Square, and kind of more high altitude. 67% zone agricultural, which tells you a lot of open land. Kamehameha Schools, Bishop Estate is the largest private landowner there. We have about 3,200 customers, 83% are residential, a small amount are commercial. That's our harbor, in case you want to just stick out in this. So we said, well, before we get to Molokai and tell them our brainy idea, how do we get them to come? Have you ever been to a utility meeting, a state meeting, county meeting? You go through all that effort and 2 people show up. So we, over the years, have done an extraordinary amount of front-end work. One, not because we're working hard, but two, because we know that people are busy. So it's like, wow, if you have to choose between a meeting, which one are you going to go to? If you have to choose between doing homework with your kids on a weeknight or going to a meeting, why is that important? So we do a lot of front-end work. So we back to that. So we send out, when we do meetings on Molokai, so I'm going to talk about a Molokai 100 project and how we did this. We send out a postcard to all 3,200 customers to come to a meeting. So the first time I did that, I kind of thought that was the right thing to do. So I called my counterparts in Honolulu and said, "Well, so what do you do if everybody shows up at your meeting? Like, I'm thinking you send everybody in Kahala, right? A postcard to come to a neighborhood meeting." And they said, "Oh my God, Mahina, what did you do?" And I said, "We invited 3,200 of our customers to a meeting." And it didn't occur to me that we shouldn't, right? And like, okay, well, and I made sure it was a postcard, because if it's an envelope, what? You think it's a bill. So I don't want you to think it's a bill. I want you to know it's an invitation. So they weren't any help. So I said, okay, never mind then. If they come, they come. We run out of food. We had lots of food occasionally when we planned. But the main idea is what? You're invited. That's the key, right? Because I know that most people don't trust the utility. That's fine. That's the reality. People don't trust government. That's just the reality. That's just how it is. So we invited them. You notice there are 3 meetings. We held, each time we go for major meetings, or particularly for this initiative, we held 3 meetings. East End, West Side, Kilohana, Central, Kamakakai. You know how much work that is? It's really hard work to do. 3 logistics, 3 food, get the communities out to 3 meetings each time. And more importantly, and that's done because we know that we don't want you to drive far. It's like, just come wherever you can. But 3 meetings, we bring our company president, 2 department heads, 2 division heads, and myself in public affairs. And we stay and go to each of those meetings every time. So it's been challenging. And because it's Kamakakai, and because we own the poles, we put up a banner. So when you drive, you know where this is up for you folks. This is right when you enter Kamakakai. We enter Kamakakai, this is great. Oh, there's a banner, but it says Maui Electric Community Meeting, and then when we were. Next time. We make sure we talk to our employees. So before we go out into the community and have a meeting, we actually share with them the content of what we're telling them. Because that's the right thing to do.
So if anybody approached them to ask them about it, then you can educate them.
Exactly. And that's, and you don't expect them to come to the community meetings. They hear about it all the time. But we'd like them to know what we're telling others. Yeah. So we started talking to groups. We had 13 roundtables in a compressed period of time of a few months. So we met with nonprofits. We met in larger community groups. This is Kilohana. This is Kamakakai, in a series of meetings. Manaloa. And we always have akapu, and we pay them to make sure that they show up and because they're worth it. And then we run it because Mokai loves akapu. We met with veterans. This is our Mokai Veterans Group. We asked every group, we spent a little bit of time, it's a 90-minute session. We talked about renewable energy, the options, we answered questions. Then we let them tell us what they preferred. And our approach was that if we're the experts in utility, you're the experts in community. So you tell us what your concerns are and your recommendations. Oh, and veterans, they love to tell you. Trust me, they will tell you their opinion. So that was an interesting one. So it kind of looked like that in every session. We made sure we attended different events, talked about renewable energy from Molokai, got their input, shared information. We noted for different resources, what did they want to tell us were their concerns? What did they want us to know from their perspective? And then we continued that for a period of several months. This is Kamakakai. One of our most enjoyed sessions have been the ones with students. If you think about it, Who's going to be paying the bill in 2045? Not us. It's going to be a 17-year-old. So it behooved us to understand what did these Molokai teenagers thought. So we met with Molokai High School. Next one. We met with Akaula kids. Now this group was very interesting. They came up with a lot of questions. Why can't we burn, and you're going to hear a little bit more, why can't we burn all the trash on Molokai? We said, you could. Yeah, right. Because oh, we have lots of rubbish. This one, who's this for? This one here, lots of information, lots of rubbish. So we said, okay, what if you run out? We'll run out and get more rubbish. So, okay, what if that's not enough? We'll have to import trash. Oh no, we don't want to import rubbish. Why would we want other people's rubbish? No Apollo from elsewhere. Scratch that idea. We're like, okay, or you could just use less power. We could start to manage it that way. So we had really good dialogue. They too, every student group had their chance. Next slide. Molokai students, they have to, demonstrate their work. Out of 475 comments, this is what we ended up with out of 113 respondents. We took the 475 comments, went to our planning group in Honolulu, and said, here's what Molokai told us. Can you help us determine the next steps? Then we returned to Molokai and said, here's what we found. So these are the reveal meetings. You'll see that in the back of the room, we shared every single group's results. We made it into, what are these things called? Wordles. Some app you do. So it was interesting because solar was on as one of the large ones. We learned an important lesson from this. If you remember Molokai's history of windmills, it didn't go well. So we fully expected a windmill, only windmills, no windmills. What we heard instead, which is fascinating to us, windmills were okay on two conditions, or actually multiple conditions. One is that it only stayed for Molokai, because the older idea was going to export. It was smaller, not big wind, but used new technology and new designs, and sited, placed in areas that were acceptable to the community. So that's what we heard. So there was no absolute no. Although there was almost a big fight in one meeting that I think there was some folks still no, but it was a good discussion. We posted all 400 plus comments on the board. So if you didn't attend one, you knew that somebody else felt the same way. And then this is all when we started to reveal what the responses were. We started to see now it's time for action. What now? So two things occurred. One, we brought an electric charger to Molokai because we realized in all the discussions, one thing we learned was that there was this perception about electric vehicles that was for the wealthy newcomers to Molokai. Part of that, of course, is there's no truck. I'm waiting for a truck myself, but there's an electric vehicle truck. Molokai is rural. They want trucks. So they couldn't relate to this little vehicle moving around that they plug in, or they want big trucks. So we learned a couple of things. One, the perception on it was that it was for the wealthy. So we had to talk about the rebates, about the cost, about gas in Molokai is $5 a gallon. What would you do with the money you save? Okay. But we also had to take care that we talk to the fuel companies because it's small families that own and operate it too, right? It's large families that own and operate a small business. And three, if you and the other thing we learned is that there were no mechanics to repair on island, to maintain a repair. So the first thing we had to do was work with the county and bring in a public charging station. That was a big deal, putting a public charging station in the middle of Kampakai. We had to talk to every single merchant, and which helped us because this bookstore owner here told us not to put the slower charging station because people come and go, they buy their stuff, they leave. So we quickly changed our plans and put in a fast charger so they come and go pretty quick. This lesson was part of a Go EV that it was kind of hilarious because right after we finished the whole thing, we're closing up. Guess what closed up in a stall? A very old diesel truck. He just wanted to stop in and run in. He didn't know what this was. So he just parked in the EV charging stall. And people were taking pictures. It's electric vehicle stall. Next one. We also gave Maui Economic Opportunity a electric vehicle donated by our charitable foundation. We did that because we learned, as part of our process, that MEO, the two on the end, and their board president, were using these big diesel buses to pick up a couple of seniors to go to their doctor appointments. And if you've been in Kanakakai, it's only a few blocks, right? You're just kind of like going around. But they start out these big diesel buses, go down, pick up Auntie over here, and then take them to the doctor's appointment, and then come back to the base yard. Right? And we said, oh my, that's a lot of fuel. That's a lot of fossil fuel. And they said, yes, we know. Would you like an electric vehicle you can use to pick up a couple of your clients a day? And then absolutely. So we donated the car and gave them a charging station at their base yard. So they're still putting around town. We partnered with UHMC, and this is a mechanics class of Moloka'i folks on Maui at UHMC here, learning and becoming certified to repair and maintain electric vehicles on Moloka'i. So UHMC got a grant, partnered with us, and we flew them in. We're getting ready for requests for proposals. They're going to go to the commission for review and approval again. This is Becca. She heads the Renewable Acquisitions Division in Honolulu. Traveled with me to meet with the community to talk about the process, that it is going to be a competitive process to bring up more options and opportunities, and what are some of the criteria that bidding is open to all. So we held a meeting that the public came to and learned about the RFP process. Which is here. Perfect. So I'll wrap up here. This is a lei hulu. If you've ever done a feather lei, we talked about haku lei. I'll tell you why this is here. My halau was going up to Pu'ukohala, which is a large heiau on Hawaii Island, and my kumu said we all had to make our own feather lei. So I had a hard time. I really did. I'm not that gifted. So I was wrapping it like at night. I stepped up 1 in the morning, and they're like tiny feathers, right? If you've ever done something like this, and every time I tugged the string, the feathers would fall out, and I literally almost cried because we're headed to Pu'ukohala. It's a big ceremony. This is a really big deal. So I'm trying. All my halal folks are trying to help me out. Nobody knows what I'm doing wrong. So 48 hours before we leave, I figure it out. I've been wrapping it the wrong way. It's as simple as that. Simple. Oh my gosh. So I'm panicking. Everybody's. I'm literally lying to my kumu, right? It's like, how's your lei hulu? Perfect. I'm gonna be ready. And like perfect. And everybody's like, oh my god. So like that. Then last minute, I ran out of feathers. So a halal sister got on a plane. She was the last person getting on a flight to Hawaii Island. So she brought over a bag. And I tell you, when I finished this? At 3 in the morning, as my kumu was knocking on the door. Hello, let's go everybody. I'm like, okay. Like literally, I think he was onto me because he waited by the door, right? So I came out of my kihei, I had my hakule. I'm like, oh, my husband's like, he's literally rolling his eyes, like, oh my god, could you not be more last minute? So I'm like tying it on. I opened the door. I said, oh, and he looked at my lid, and he's like, oh, okay, good. He finished it. I was the whole time, literally for 2 months, going the wrong direction.
Wow.
But needless to say, I was very excited. If you live in Hawaii, you know what this looks like. This is everybody in your house. Right? Who has never, except for our guests visiting, who has never had this happen at their house? Okay, so, and I love this because to me, this is business in Hawaii. If you want to take an idea and you want to get it to direct action and you want to succeed, this is what your doorstep is going to look like. Yeah. Literally, keep this picture in your mind because this is what success looks like. And I don't mean it by saying as if they're there to buy your product. I'm telling you this because there are different sizes, and Hawaii people know you cannot steal each other's slippers. So it's very unique. It's super unique. You can't even wear your own slippers that's a different color. You can just tell, right? So you know that it fits. But this at your door tells you you're going to have different people. They love it. They know you, comfortable. They've been in your hale, in your house, meaning they've been in your mind space. They've been in your arena of thought. They've been in all of it in that, not that journey, right? But that expedition. They've been with you. They come with shoes. They come with keiki. They're thinking, I'm gonna wear my nice going out slippers, versus my free slippers. I know you well enough. I'm wearing my long $1.99 slipper. I don't know you well enough. I'm gonna hide my slippers over here. So nobody steals it. So, right. So you can kind of see how this is Hawaii. And wherever I go, I tell people this because, we talk a lot about, like earlier, is it feasible? Is it reliable? Is there capability tied to it? At the end of the day, taking something from just talk story, share an idea, I feel brilliant today, to making it happen, making it succeed, is about acceptability. They come to your hale, they come to your house, they've accepted you and your idea. If you have an empty porch and you invited everybody, I would go back to the drawing board, put the horse and buggy away, bring out the Batmobile, learn how to make a hapule, buy new slippers, get some food. Karen guarantee us, what did we say? Karen Baron, more people will be at your door. So mahalo you for your time. Before I forget, I brought these in the back. This is the more technical information about our company. Okay, it's got all you want to know about sustainability and our renewable. One thing we gave to Molokai, this is us, my venture. We made shirts, right? And we mailed it with a thank you mahalo note to every person that came to our stakeholder roundtable. This is printed by Hawaii Finance, if you know them. And so it was designed by them too. So that was our mahalo to them for their time. Okay.
Thank you.